Okay. We will continue our discussion about the two new topics today. One is a pipelined parallel architecture. Pipelined parallel architecture design. Pipelined parallel architecture design. Another one is a fast array multiplier. Fast array multiplier. These two topics we are going to discuss today. In our earlier lectures, we have seen some combinational circuits, standard combinational circuits for some arithmetic operations, right? Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Then we came to know all those things will be in terms of addition only, right? There is no any direct subtraction, there is no any division, there is no any multiplication. We use the addition as the fundamental arithmetic to perform all those things. Then we came to know that in binary, right, no any internal division operation, no any other operations other than the addition. Today we are going to see the pipeline based architecture design. Why pipelining is required, how the pipelining will improve the speed of computation. Technically it is called throughput, right? The maybe communication we call it as a data rate or processing speed, right? Whatever it is. But finally it will improve the computation speed ultimately. How the pipeline architecture will help us to achieve the high throughput without making any changes in the internal design, right? For understanding this concept, I will take one simple circuit. This is C input, it goes here. C input also goes there. Here one not gate. So this comes out here. So we all familiar that this is our FPGA. This is the FPGA, right? There are X1, X2, X3 and Y1, Y2. These are all the inputs in the circuit. Now, since it is the combinational circuit, it is purely the combinational circuit. Combinational circuit. If you look this circuit, the Y1 output is the function of x1, x2, x3, whereas the Y2 is the function of x2 only. Function of x2 only now, right? This is one example. Y2 may be function of x1, x2 dash, right? So in real time, in our application, that may be function of anything. But the idea here is this Y1 requires a lot of time for its internal processing, unlike the Y2. Because at the moment when we change the X2, then the data, the change, the transition, either 1 to 0 or 0 to 1, that level will be propagated through this input track, and it also goes into NOT gate. It will be complemented here. So Y2 will be immediately available. Immediately available in the sense, maybe you can take del T1 time. After del T1 time, the Y2 will be available to the designers, right? But at the same time, Y1 will not be available because Y2 generations will be after certain amount of time, because X1, X2, X3 should propagate through 3 different gates, right? 3 different gates to generate the Y1. Therefore, for Y1, the time is del T2 for Y1. So that del T2 is greater than, very greater than del T1. Very greater than in the sense in the order of some microsecond or some picosecond, not in the order of seconds, right? Means suppose Y1 is available after 1 microsecond, then Y2 will be available after 50 microsecond or 10 microsecond. But it is relatively high. The time difference between Y1 and Y2 is relatively high because our entire processing will be at gigahertz speed, very high speed, for example, right? Therefore, in the combinational circuits, in general, one should introduce the registers at the input and the output stage. I am introducing one register here. I am introducing one more register here. So this register is called RI. This register is called R0, output register now. Output register. These two registers will be given by a common clock. Will be a common clock. This is the clock now. Common clock. Right. Clock or maybe enable or maybe start switch, whatever it is. The idea behind this concept is, see, the Y1 and Y2 will not be available at the same time, right? Therefore, we should know the time when we can read the Y1 and Y2, right? Suppose I am giving here the maximum delay required for generating Y1 is 1 second. For example, I am telling just for understanding in the order of second, but in FPGA it will be in picosecond or nanosecond, right? 1 second. But for this Y2, it is 0.25 second. For example, 0.25 second, right? But though your Y2 is available after 0.25 second, you cannot latch out your final output because you need to wait for the Y1. After 0.2, if you bring out your output to the external world, or if you start doing the operations based on that output, that is not the correct output because Y1 is there for the earlier input, not for the present input, because the first path is working for generating the respective output, right? So every 1 second once only you can read the data. 1 second once we can read the data in the sense, we can apply the clock here, maybe this clock, then this is the another rising edge. So when this rising edge is applied here at T0, then T0 plus 1 second, you have to wait to apply the another rising edge now, right? Because the longest path, that is called latency. Here the latency is 1 second. Latency in the sense, the longest path delay. The longest path delay or the longest path delay time that is required to generate the output in that path, that particular path. So there may be several paths. There may be several sections in your design. One section may quickly generate the output, but another section may require some time. So we needed to calculate the throughput based on the longest path delay. In this circuit, your delay time is 1 second, therefore latency is 1 second, and your throughput is 1 bits per second. 1 bits per second. 1 bits per second in the sense here, suppose I am applying here x1, x2, 3 is the parallel feeding, parallel input now. Sometimes this may be 0, 0, 1, sometimes this may be 1, 1, 1, right? So in meaning is 3 bits I can apply at a time, but I can apply the next subsequent inputs after 1 second only. After 1 second only, right? Because when I applied 0, 0, 1, that will go inside, it will take some time in the internal processing. Then Y1 and Y2 will be available after 1 second only, right? So at that instant, after the expiry of 1 second, I am bringing this new Y1 and Y2 to the external world. At the same time, I am accepting the new input inside. You got the idea now? New input inside now. So here also the rising edge is going. Here also the rising edge is going now. Correct. So the rising edge is simultaneously applied into Ri and R0. Therefore, the Ri will allow the input inside and R0 will allow the output outside now. Will allow the output outside. You got the idea now? So before applying the clock, suppose I applied the rising edge at this point, this register is made such a way that if rising edge comes, read the input and bring it inside. Read the input and bring it inside. This register is designed such a way that if the rising edge comes, bring out these inputs will be latched inside. These outputs will be latched outside now. Therefore, the input reading and output latching out, both are in control. Both are in control now. And we are managing by the common clock. We are managing by the common clock, right? This is the one advantage. This advantage we got because of the latency. Because of the latency. Another advantage of inserting this RI and R0 is, suppose if the register is not there, right? You assume the register is not there. And this 001 is here. Suppose the external circuit, which is here, that is not in your control, right? Because FPGA is sitting here only. You are playing the role from the FPGA only, not in the external circuit here, also the external circuit here. Right now, we don't have any control over them. Therefore, suppose if the input goes like this, suppose 0, 1, 0, the input goes to 0, 1, 0. Actually, this is the T0 input, right? This will be the T1 input. In case if the T1 input goes to T0 input becomes as the T1 input before the 1 second, before the expiry of 1 second, then automatically the new input will start propagating in the circuit. You understand? Because there is no any control by the register. There is no any control now. So that is the main drawback in the combinational circuits. In the combinational circuits, whenever your input gets changed, immediately your output will be changed. Immediately in the sense after the total delay, after the processing and the propagation delay, your output will be changed now. So what happened? If the input from 0, 0, 1 to, if it goes to 0, 1, 0, if it goes to 0, 1, 0 due to something in the previous section, which is not in our control, then that input will start propagating there. Understand? So then this, the earlier this may be 0, now it will become 1, or earlier it may be 1, or it may become 0. So your output is not corresponding to the present input as well as the previous input. Some malfunction will happen, some wrong output will come out. Therefore, we should control, or we should decide the time when I needed to allow the input to go inside the FPGA, and I need to allow when this output should be latched out now. You got the idea now? So two advantages are there by inserting the register. One is a controlled input and controlled output will be coming out. Second one is the transition of the input, intermediate transition of the input will not affect our circuit performance, because that will not be considered inside the circuits, because we have to apply the rising edge there. So T0 I am applying on rising edge. So this input will come inside, and whatever the output is there will come out, right? Then the circuit will work now. Then Y1 and Y2 will be generated here, and it is available only at this point. Whenever I apply the clock here, new input will go inside the circuits, and the previous output will come out now. Previous output will come out. It is something like that. Because of this input resistance, the input and output section, external input and external output sections are electrically disconnected. Right? So whenever the rising edge goes there, it is passed inside. That's why this register is nothing but D flip-flop only. Don't think it is something different. No, only it is the D flip-flop array. Only it is the D flip-flop array. You know that D flip-flop function. Suppose this is the D flip-flop, right? So I'm feeding the clock here. D in is here. This is our Q of T. Maybe T in of T, Q of D. Whenever the rising edge goes there, whatever is available here will come out. Whatever is available will be here. That whatever bit is here. Suppose B0 is here, B0 will come out. If B1 is here, B1 will come out, right? But this will come out whenever the clock is applied here. Until unless the data will be only at this point now. Therefore, until unless you apply the rising edge at this point, your circuit displays and this place only, nothing will come out. That means the D register output maintains the earlier output. That means the current state is the present state. When we apply, then current input will be the next state. You understand now? So this is the idea of the controlled input reading and output latching in the combinational circuits, right? So in our design also, in our lab, you will understand tomorrow how we are going to control all those things now, right? So controlled reading will be there. Controlled reading means whenever rising edge comes, you read the input. Otherwise, don't read. So falling edge ke liye, then the level 0 ke liye, level 1 ke liye, nothing will be taken inside. You can play whatever you want in the input switches. You can make a 0, 1, 1, 0, no? Suppose rising edge is applied, input is taken inside. In this time, before applying the rising edge, you can make any changes in the input. Nothing will affect your input. Just you are playing in the input side switches, that's all. That will not be taken inside the circuit. Circuit will not consider it, because circuit will consider it when subsequently another rising edge comes. Right? Otherwise, this flip-flop will not allow it. It is something like this. Suppose P0 is here, you make it P1, and then you make it P0. Nothing will affect the state here. Nothing will affect the output, because rising edge is applied now. But at instant, when the rising edge goes into the register, whatever is the input will be taken inside, right? And whatever is there is the output, it will be brought out now, right? So the clock instant, at that instant, whatever is your input will be taken inside, whatever is the output will be brought out by the flip-flop now. So that is the intention of keeping registers always in the input and output section, right? Because of these advantages only now. That is one thing. Second thing is, Now, the idea is the 1 second delay is there. Is there any way to increase the speed of this computation, or we should wait for 1 second or 1 nanosecond, 1 microsecond now? Because if you wait for 1 microsecond and if your complete computation complexity increases, for example, some controller design, neural network implementation, voice processing, you need to use million and million gates. Billion and billion gates has to be used now. Then linearly, your processing delay and the propagation delay, that is what we call total delay, will also go up now, right? So once it goes up, then you need to wait for that much amount of time to feed your next input, or you get your next output, correct? No? So the processing delay will be linearly going up now. If it is linearly going up, then your waiting time also should linearly go up. So that is not the correct way. Then your data rate will come down, computation speed will come down, processing speed will come down, because nowadays we talk about a million into million gates utilization now. Billion into billion gate utilization, not one diode or two diodes now, right? Because everything is in FPGA nowadays, right? Lot of scopes are there. Yesterday also I got one call from Radcom company. They need a DSP, FPGA, hardware interface engineers. There is a bulk recruitment. That is one, Modi supporting industry. Modi means Ministry of Defense. I do not mean anything else. Ministry of Defense supported a private industry. So they need, if you are good at DSP, FPGA programming, hardware interfaces, no, there is a future scope for you people and the quantum people also, because everything will be finally in the FPGA, NOC, SOC, Internet of Things is there, no? Now people are talking about Internet of Everything, not IoT. IoE bol rahe abhi. IoE, not IoT. IoE, that word already coined in USA IEEE conference. IoE, Internet of Everything, not Internet of Things now. Internet of Things will slowly die out. Internet of Everything is coming up now. Everything will be in Internet only. That means everything will be in your mobile phone only. That means everything will be in your chip only. That means everything is in your FPGA only, ultimately. Understand? Okay, finally. So, then is there any way to increase the throughput now? There is a way to increase the throughput. That way is introducing intermediate registers. Introducing intermediate register in the sense, I introduce one register here now. I introduce one more register here now. Here one more register, here also one more register. So I call it as R1, I call it as R2 now. So totally there are two new registers now, right? Intermediate registers called intermediate registers, or it is called pipelined registers. Pipelined registers in the sense, why it is called pipelined in the sense, see, suppose this is one pipe now. I want to run the pipe for 1 kilometer. I cannot make a single pipe for 1 kilometer, no. So I will take one pipe, another pipe, I will couple here. One more pipe, I will couple here. You understand now? So that is why it is called a pipelined processing. So this is one section, this is another section, this is another section now, right? So that is why it is called a pipelined section. That means the entire circuit is sliced into totally 3 stages now. Stage 1, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 now. Sliced into 3 stages now, right? That means your longest path is splitted into chota path now, chota sections, right? Without making any change in the logical function. Without making any change in the logical function now. But what I have done, because of this, I needed to introduce the signals. I needed to introduce the signals now. So I am introducing the signal now. Maybe I am writing here, this signal may be, I am writing here maybe something L1. This is L1, this is L2, and this is L3. This is L3, right? And this is L4. This is L4 now. That means the big equation that Y1, previously the Y1 is equal X1 into X2, right? Exclusive OR gate with the X3, right? Plus with again X3. This was the equation. This was the equation earlier case, correct or no? And our Y2 is equal to X2 dash. X2 dash. This was the equation in the earlier case. When we go for straight away implementation of this equation, we came to know that there is a latency of 1 second. There is a latency of 1 second. Therefore, you can apply 1 Hertz clock only. Therefore, at a time, you can pass 3 inputs. I mean, within a second, you can pass only 3 inputs. and you can latch out the output of 2 bits. So every second you can process only 3 bits here, only 3 bits simultaneously, right? So what I have done, because of just inserting the intermediate registers, I introduced some signals. You know what is signal, right? Intermediate representation, intermediate variables now. So I have broken this equation into chota equations now. Chota equations in the sense, my L1 is equal to x1 into x2. L1 is equal to x1 into x2, and L2 is equal to L1 modulo 2 exclusive addition with x3, modulo 2 addition with x3, and L4 is equal to L2 plus x3, L2 plus x3 now, and our L3 is equal to x2 dash, right? That means the equation is divided into chota equations now, right? That means a big logical function. Here it is simple logical expression, Boolean equation, but in our real-time application, a big task will be divided into chota tasks, small tasks now, right? So now finally I will load y1 is equal to L4 and y2 is equal to L3. Y2 is equal to L3. This is the final loading or latching out to the intermediate output or end output into the final output stage, external world now. Now look here, since the big Boolean expression is splitted into chota Boolean expression, then obviously the time required for this section is reduced now. Time required for this section came down to, for example, maybe 0.25 second, 0.25 second, here also 0.25 second, right? Or for just for our understanding, I'm taking here, this is 0.5 second, this is a 0.25 second. This is 0.25 second because exclusive OR gate is, this is for understanding. This is a 0.25 second, this is a 0.25 second now. Now, because of introducing the pipeline architecture, my latency has come down to 0.5 second. You understand now? Now the maximum delay I needed to wait. Maximum delay I needed to wait for feeding the clock or for feeding the new input is 0.5 second. It has come down now. So my clock has been reduced to 0.5 second now. My clock speed has been reduced to 0.5 second now. That means now I can apply the clock here like this. So this time is now reduced to 0.5 second now, right? That means the earlier speed is doubled now. Earlier it was only one set of inputs per second. Now I can apply the 2 set of inputs per second now. 2 set of inputs per second in the sense, now I am applying the rising edge here, for example. Look here, I am applying the rising edge now. The new input will be taken inside. Then the circuits will work now. This circuit requires a 0.25 second. Fine. So after 0.25 second, this new input will be available here now. New input will be available here. But that input will not affect this section now. That input will not affect this section. It is something like this. You clearly listen. I'm giving here, suppose 0, 0, 1. Right. This is the input. Right. And the earlier input of this register is 0, 0, 0, 0. Here also 0, 0, 0. Here also 0, 0. All will be 0 only initially. Right. So when I apply the first clock, first rising edge now, these 3 inputs will be taken inside and this circuit will work and this circuit will work. That new input will be here, here, here. The corresponding output will be here. But previously 0, 0 was there, no? That 0 will come here. Then that circuit will work only for 0. That 0 result will be here. Then the previously some inputs were there, no? That input is passed here because that rising edge went to all the registers simultaneously. All the registers simultaneously. So whatever the input was there, that will be passed into the output now. Output is already coupled with some circuits inside. Some circuit inside. So that circuit will work. Then that circuit output will be available again as the input into the subsequent D flip-flop. Right. So when I apply the rising edge here, what happened? This input is allowed inside. This circuit will work for this new input, and that result is available only at the input of this register. It will not come here. It will not come here. Right. Right. For that rising edge, already some inputs were there. No, that is passed already. Already some inputs that is passed here. So that came out. Now the first set of input result is available at this point now. Now you apply the another clock, the earlier input output available this stage will be going into the second stage, and the new input will be taken here now. So now your circuit is simultaneously handling two different inputs, right? So when S2 is working for the previous input, S1 will work for the present input. You understand now? S1 will work for the present input. But so far we have applied only two clocks. Then you apply the third clock. This section will work for the first input. At the same time, this section will work for the second input. This section will work for the new input. That is the third input now. Then you apply the fourth clock. The output of the first input will come out. Understand? And this circuit will work for the second input. This circuit will work for the third input. This circuit will work for the fourth input now. You got the idea, no? That means because of just reducing the throughput, we doubled the computation speed now. So you will understand by this logic. I will give you the pipeline timing diagram. This is the time, real time, right? And this is my pipeline stage. I have here, maybe you can take this is 1 or 2 or not, maybe, right? That means this is your Ri, this is your R2, this is your R1, this is your Rout register. These are all the registers. Right? Now look here. Now I am applying the first clock. Now, right? When I apply the first clock, then this Ri will allow it inside circuit. It will allow into this circuit now. Now I am taking the vector x1. The vector x1 consists of x1, x2, x3 inputs. And vector x2 consists of maybe another set of inputs, x1, x2, x3, something like that, right? So it will keep moving till xn. You understand, no? That is equal to again x1, x2, x3, x1, x2, x3 now. Understand? So the idea here is when I apply the first clock, the x1, x2, x3 of capital X1 will be taken inside. Surabhi, understand ना Surabhi? Because your facial expression shows that आपका थोड़ा doubt है, ऐसा है?
No sir, understood.
Very good. So the capital X1 will come inside, right? And then the capital X1 will come inside in the sense this section is working for X1. Right? Then already we know the total time required, that is a 0.5 second only. We have to wait for 0.5 second to apply the another icing edge. So in between, this stage output is this stage function will be over because it requires only 0.25 second. So the output is available as the input into the at the R2. Apply the another clock now. Then this register will allow the result of this section into this section now. So here the X1 will come. Right? X1 means not as it is. The processed output will come out. The first stage output will go to the second stage now. But at the same time, this fellow will work for X2. Because X2 is taken inside. No. Apply the third clock. Then this fellow will work for X1. This fellow will work for X2. And this fellow will work for X3. Understand now? Then apply the another clock. The output will come out here. I mean Y1 and Y2 will come out for X1. And this fellow will work for X2. And this fellow will work for X3. And this fellow will work for X4. Because it is keep on coming. Input keep on coming. It is coming over the real time. Right. Then apply another clock. Here your Y1 and Y2 for X2 will be available. And this fellow will work for X3, and this fellow will work for X4, and this fellow will work for X5. Right. That means we divide the circuits into different stages and we are controlling them. because one stage will not affect the another stage until unless you allow the register to pass it. So we have overall timing management with us. So this is very important. The timing management is very important here now. Then next clock apply. This fellow will give you y1 and y2 for x3, y1 and x2 for x3. Here you will work for x4. Here you will work for x5. Here you will work for x6. X6 now. You understand now? So now the idea is, in earlier case, I needed to, suppose to complete the three different set of inputs, capital X1, X2 and X3. This vector, I needed to wait for 3 seconds. I needed to wait for 3 seconds, correct? No? Because first 1 second you read the input, then wait for 1 second, then feed the clock, second, third. So we needed to wait for 3 seconds. That means you needed to take 3 seconds to complete the computation for three different vector, X1, X2, X3 now, right? So since this X1 consists of 3 bits, this is consists of 3 bits, this consists of 3 bits, totally you can process only 9 bits per 3 seconds. 9 bits within 3 seconds, correct? No? Now your bit data rate is 3 bits per second then. 3 bits per second, correct? No? Then you come here, we got the X3 output, right? So here I waited here for 0.5 second. Now you see here 0.5 second. Understand? Here 1.5 second. Here 1.5 second. 0.5 second. 0.5 second. 0.5 second. Right? 1.5 second. Then here 1.5 second. 2 second. 2.5 second. So 2.5 second may you got all the outputs. You got all the outputs. At the same time, your circuit is working for some more new inputs also inside. Some more new input also inside now. So the fourth clock, the next clock, you will get here y1, y2 for x4. Right. And the next clock, y1, y2 for x5. So circuit is busy. Quickly we got the output well in advance. Also our circuit is engaged for some other new inputs now. Some other new inputs now. Right. So this is the advantage of a pipeline design now. That means if you come to the Boolean equation, look here, the x1, x2 is there. When you apply the first clock, only the L1 will be updated. L2 will not be updated because L2 is the function of L1 also. Understand now? So the updation of L1 should be completed first now. So for one rising edge, L1 will be completed. Second rising edge, that L2 will work with the old previous L1, but the L1 will work for the new X1, X2. Yeah, for the first rising edge, L1 only will be updated. Understand? For the first output concerned. Second rising edge, the L1 will new X1, X2, but L2 will be updated with the previous L1. Understand now? And X3. And the same way, L4 will be updated for third clock. So simultaneously, there is a updation here, 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 but L1 is with the new input, right? And L2 will be with the previous L1 and X3. You got the idea, no? And then L4 will be previous L2 with X3. You understand now? So this is the way how the logic bit, all these things will be within one process only. Within one process only. But though it is within one process, L2 will not be updated in the until unless L1 is updated. L1 got updated now. Right. So first rising edge only L1, second rising edge L2, third rising edge L4. So like that, there is a pipelining. Pipelining will be automatically maintained. So now what happened? The advantage in the addition is, suppose I want to add 128 bit with 128 bit, right? So when we want adder or full adder, we can introduce the pipelining in between. You no need to wait for the entire computation time that is required for that 128 bit plus 128 bit addition, because it requires a lot of time. Your carry should propagate now. So when I introduce some pipelining in between, that means it is a matter of just slicing the circuits into small circuits now. So when I introduce there is a way to increase the throughput also, even in the addition, multiplication, division, subtraction, or any operation, any real-time operations. As we progress, we are going to see several implementations in the FPGA hardware interfaces. So we needed to introduce the pipelining to improve the throughput now, right? So this is called the pipeline design. So ultimately, we can conclude like this. Suppose I have a big circuit, something like this. Understand? I am feeding the input X1 here I am collecting the output y1, maybe capital Y1, capital X1. This is a vector, consists of so many x1, x2, x3, x4. And y1 also consists of y1, y2, y3 now. So instead of, if you feed the input here, then you should wait here till the time it takes for the processing, maybe. Then you divide into like this. Right. Then introduce the registers. Apply the common clock here. Apply the common clock here. Now automatically your latency will come down. Therefore you can improve your throughputs now. Right. So if you increase the number of registers, intermediate registers, obviously your throughput will go up. Obviously your throughput will go up. Right. Your throughput will go up by 2, typically by 2, if all the stages are in equal time difference, equal processing time. But that is difficult, right? But you need to optimize it now. You need to optimize it. For example, suppose in case if I introduce register only at this point, now, I do not introduce the register at this point, then this is required 0.25 second, fine. But altogether here you need 0.75 second. So you just reduce your latency only by 0.25 second. Correct? No, your latency has come down only by 0.25 second now. So such a way that you need to find where we need to insert the register. That means which part of the equation has to be divided or has to be splitted, sliced, right? So that one should to able to do it accordingly. You should put the intermediate registers there. That means ultimately you needed to divide your operations into small operations, so that you can maintain almost a uniform processing time or processing delay required for every stages. Therefore you can calculate easily the total throughput of this system also. You understand the logic now, no? So this is called the pipeline design, right? Next one is the pipeline parallel architecture. Pipeline parallel architecture in the sense simultaneously I want to do multiple tasks. I told you already that is possible only in the FPGA now. So I want to do simultaneously multiple tasks. So this is one task. This is another task now. This is another task, right? It is something like this. So this is one task. This is another task. This is one more task now. So if this circuit, this path takes 1 second. If this path takes 1 second, for example, 1 second, then your latency is 1 second for both paths. Correct? No? Right. So what we are going to do, but this is parallelly going on. This is a parallel operation now. Again, you put the slicing here, slicing here, slicing here. Introduce the resistance here. Understand? No? Then or you make one more slicing here, or you make one more slicing here. So when we make a slicing, that is called pipeline architecture. Then when I apply the slicing in the parallel, that is called pipeline parallel architecture. Pipeline parallel architecture. You got the idea now? So it is something like that. Doing some computations parallelly, finally adding the results and getting the expected output. Right? So when we do parallelly, again we can increase the throughput. Again your throughput will be improved now. Suppose 8-bit by 8-bit addition is required. Right. So what I do, 8-bit by 8-bit addition. I want to do 8-bit by 8-bit addition. Right. So 8-bit, here one 8-bit register, here 8-bit, here another 8-bit. Right. So I can divide this one into 4-bit, 4-bit. Here also 4-bit, 4-bit. You add this 4-bit, 4-bit now. Here 4-bit add karo, this 4-bit add karo, XY, 4-bit, 4-bit add karo. Right. Understand now? Then you take that result. You take that result. Again you add karo. Introduce the pipelining here. In all the stages, introduce the pipelining. So parallelly we are performing the computation. We introduce the pipelining also in between. So every addition is in your control. So when the first stage is adding the X0 with Y0, second stage will add X1 with Y1. Understand now? Then that sum and this sum will be added in the second stage now. You got the idea, no? So X0, X1, X2, X3 will be added to Y0, Y1, Y2, Y3 in one stage. Simultaneously, X5, X6, X7 will be added in another stage with Y5, Y6, Y7 now. Then you send this result to one more stage now. Then that adder will take care of this sum and that sum addition. Again you send to one more pipeline stage now. That adder will take there. So the idea is finally we are going to get the same output only, but because of this pipeline architecture, we increase the computation speed. We increase the throughput. We increase the processing speed. With changes in the distribution of the components means your Boolean equation. or your application. You understand now? You understand this idea now? So suppose I can do, I can implement this logic in any application, now. Got the idea? Pipeline architecture design now. So as we progress, we will make similar designs in our applications. We need to introduce the pipeline in some places to improve the speed. Okay, fine. Second one is the array multiplication, fast array multiplier. The fast array multiplier we are going to discuss here with the pipeline architecture now, right? This is very important. Fast array multiplier, FAM. Fast array multiplier. This is a very powerful multiplier, right? This will give us clear idea about the fast array multiplication and also the pipeline design. Pipeline design for this one now, right? If you go back our earlier lecture, right, we have seen that for just 4-bit by 4-bit multiplication, I will take that notes. If you look here, if you look this circuit, this is just a 4-bit by 4-bit multiplier, right? 4-bit by 4-bit multiplier. In this multiplier, if you calculate here, this is 4-bit, this is just 4-bit. Because the multiplier and the divider, no, this is the costly component in the DSP. Costly component in the sense that it requires a lot of resources, right? Because normally we require multiplication and addition, right? Division is very rare. Because all DSP, right? All DSP, mostly we do everything in summation and multiplication. Correct? No? Even you take your filter. So your filter is equal to coefficient into the sample x of n. If you take your FIR filter, right now, the coefficient will be multiplied by x of n minus 1, x of n minus 2, x of n minus 3, any kind of filter, right? So the multiplication is a most costly component. Costly component in the sense is that it requires a lot of resources, time, processing time, everything depends upon the multiplier, right? So, but the multiplication also will be done in addition only. For just a 4-bit by 4-bit multiplication, how many adders you need? You think here, this is AND gate. Here you need one half adder. Then you need one full adder here. Again you need one full adder here. Or you half adder, full adder. Again full adder, full adder, full adder, full adder. So we can say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Totally 8 adders are required. Maybe full adder, you take 5 full adder, 3 half adder, that way, right? So 8 adders are required. This is just for 4-bit by 4-bit multiplication. But when I talk about the filter design, my coefficients will be, filter coefficient will be at the resolution of something like this. Maybe 344.89324, is my C0 coefficient, right? Then this coefficient I got to multiply with one x of n minus 1. The x of n minus 1 may vary from 0 to 255. For example, 0 to 255. Correct? No? Because this is a filter is sample. Something like this. Z power minus 1, Z power minus 1. This is your FIR filter, right? Then here summation, here summation, here summation now. So this is C0, C1, C2, C3, right? So x of n will come here. This is x of n minus 1. So x of n is nothing but some sample, right? Real time sample. These are all the coefficient value, filter coefficient now. Then finally this y of n will come out. Finally y of n come out. So here the x of n will be multiplied by C0. Here x of n minus 1 will be multiplied by C1 and so on. And so on now. So this multiplication requires a lot of resources now, right? So the multiplication is very important. That is why most of the algorithms are coming up in multiplier. Maybe a fast array multiplier, Booth multiplier, modified Booth multiplier. Then some Chinese calculation also is there now. Redundant multiplier. One One is a 9's complement multiplier, 2's complement multiplier. So different multipliers are coming up because the multipliers are the very essential component, very essential arithmetic in the DSP, particularly in the DSP, right? So DSP in the sense it covers all processing, voice, image, video, signal, every processing now, right? So what is a fast array multiplier? How that will help us to improve the throughput further in addition to the incorporation of the pipeline stages, pipeline or parallel stages now, right? So one is anyway we are going to introduce the pipeline stages to improve the speed. In addition to that, this algorithm will help us to just triple that throughput or highly increase the throughput in addition to the increment that we are going to get with just introducing the pipeline stages now, right? To introduce this algorithm, one should understand some steps. I will write here, the product can be typically represented by P equal to A into capital X. P equal to A into capital X, right? Nothing but, any doubt in the pipeline architecture design may? Okay, we will go continue then. Fast array multiplier, product is equal to A into X, right? So A, I'm going to multiply A by X or X by A, right? I'm going to multiply these two numbers now. A and X will be multiplied and then product will be coming out now. So what I am doing, the A is there now, that A, I am going to just convert it into binary form. The X I keep as it is. That is possible only in the FPGA or only in the DSP processor or FPGA. Nowadays FPGA is there for everything, right? And no any specific DSP processor, or that is not that much popular due to various advantages, added advantages in the FPGA, right? So I am dealing the X as integer. As integer, I am going to convert that A into binary form. That means X will be in radix 10, whereas the A will be in radix 2. Radix 2, right? Now, therefore, since I am going to convert this A into standard logic, means binary, right? Binary, I can represent this A something like this. K equal to 0 to n minus 1 AK 2 power K into capital X. It is nothing but, you will understand what is this. Suppose I am writing here 0, 1, 0, 1. I am writing here 0, 1, 0, 1. What is the magnitude to the power 2 or to this position? This position is 2 power 0. This position is 2 power 1. This position is 2 power 2. This position is 2 power 3. Understand now? So 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3 are the position weight, right? Position weight. Position weight in the sense, this is 1, this is 2, this is 4, this is 8. This is the position 8 now, the position weight now. But this position magnitude is by this 0, 1, 0, 1 only. So I introduce here, this is A0, this is A1, this is A2, this is A3. This is A3 now. So I am writing something like that. A0, 1, A1, 2, A2, 4, A3, 8 now. A3, 8 now, right? The 1, 2, 4, 8 will be remain unchanged. Right? If you take second position, that is 2 only. If you take fourth position, that is 8 only. If you take fifth position, that is 16 only. Right? But if A0 is 0, then this position has no value. If A0 is 0, then the position has no value. Because 0 into anything 0, no. Because that position ke liye magnitude nahi hai. Since it is 0 now. So if A3 is 0, then this has no magnitude. This has no magnitude. So if you take this number here, this portion has no value. So this portion has value. This portion has no value. This portion has value. So 8, that is nothing but 10. That is 8 plus 2 now. 8 plus 2 now. Now you leave this summation 2 power k, ak, where k varies from 0 to n minus 1, will give this value. It ultimately represents this one only, no? It ultimately represents this one only. Fine, no? Correct. And when I put summation here, I am going to get the magnitude now. I am going to get the total value of that binary representation. Nothing but this is equal to capital A. Fine? This is nothing but a capital A now. So the capital A is the capital A. This capital A can be modeled by this equation, binary equation, that is a summation k equal to 0 to n minus 1 a k 2 power k into x now. Understand? Understand the meaning of this representation now? This is just binary representation of A, that's all. Binary representation of A. Based on the A value, the 2 power k position will get value or will not get value. Will get value or will get 0. Understand now? So this is also equal to summation k equal to n minus 1 to 0 a k 2 power k. Keeping the MSB left side. Keeping the MSB left side. But in this equation, MSB is the right side. If you go, LSB is left side. So just I changed the MSB to left side here now. Right? Or no any difference. Only the position is the matter here now. Right? Fine. Next, I'm expanding this equation like this. You substitute there a n minus 1 2 power n minus 1 plus a n minus 2 2 power n minus 2 plus a2 2 power 2 plus a1 and so on plus a power 1 plus a0 2 power 0 into x plus and so on here plus and so on. Just I expanded that summation equation. Just I expanded the summation equation now. Suppose for example for 8-bit, I am interested in 8-bit now. Therefore this equation will be something like this. A7 2 power 7 plus A6 2 power 6 plus A5 2 power 5 plus A4 2 power 4 plus A3 2 power 3 plus A2 2 power 2 plus A1 2 power 1 plus A0 2 power 0 into that x. Into that x. Understand now? That is equal that is equal to A7 2 power 7 is kitna? 128 plus A power 2 power 6 kitna?
64
A6 64 plus A5 32 plus A4 16 plus A3 8 plus A2 4 plus A1 2 plus A0 into 1 into x into capital X into capital X. Now I am bringing that x inside. I am bringing the x inside now. X inside now. Now A7 128 capital X plus A6 64 capital X plus A5 32 capital X plus A4 16 capital X plus A3 8 capital X plus A2 4 capital X plus A1 2 capital X plus A0 x now. So that means P is equal to A0 x plus 2x A1 plus 4xa2 plus 8xa3 and so on now and so on. This equation is the important. We need to analyze this equation now. Now, I'm going to prepare one. We will come back to this equation. Before that, I'm going to prepare now one lookup table, one LUT lookup table. Because creating the register or creating the LUT is not at all the issue, because we have huge memory, huge resources in the FPGA. If you need, you can use the external DDRAM, SDRAM also to keep your filter coefficient value or your lookup table, right? DD, directed digital synthesizer is there. We will see in the second unit. It records a lot of sinusoidal value to generate the RF signal, right? That also we store in the DDRAM or in the inside memory only. We will declare array. In FPGA, you can declare array, string array, ASIC array, binary array, any kind of array can be created, complex array, anything. So we will stop and continue tomorrow.